On this edition of Lexington Now, a new playground at Gainesway Park, erosion control at construction sites, and the Veterans Hall of Fame. I'm Neil Noah, and welcome to Lexington Now for the week of August 12, 2024. A new playground was just opened at Gainesway Park. It's the latest addition to Parks and Rec's growing list of amenities for Lexington residents.
We are here today in Gainesway Park to cut a ribbon on a brand new playground. This new playground is more interactive and accessible than ever before, and will greatly benefit this neighborhood and the surrounding schools. Families and kids will now be able to enjoy multiple motion play pieces. You can see some of them in the background, more swings, and even a new climbing feature. This is one of many playgrounds receiving upgrades and redesigns we have been rolling out across the city in the past couple of years. Funding the Gainesway Playground involved a partnership among the city, the private sector, in this case Employment Solutions, and the Ohio Capital Corporation on behalf of the Lexington Housing Authority.
I'll try not to tear up because it's really something special. It is with great excitement that we cut the ribbon today for the new Gainesway Playground. I would like to thank Vice Mayor Dan Wu and council members at large, James Brown and Chuck Ellinger, I think James is here, for donating capital funds to this project. I would also like to thank Rick Christmas of Employment Solutions, which is this building, this complex over here. It's really a technical school. That's been really an asset to this part of the community. Austin Sims of the Lexington Housing Authority and the Ohio Capital Corporation, all of those for their generous donations. Last but not least, thank you to the Lexington Parks and Recreation for all their work on this playground project. They made this happen. This is great. In my service as a council member and resident of the 8th District, I know firsthand the benefits a new playground will bring to our neighborhood and school communities. As you can see, we've got all three campuses up here, and they use this park also. This was first built in the 2000s. The playground welcomed several visitors over the years and experienced wear and tear, and the old one was at this same site, and it was tore down. And there's hundreds of students who regularly attend Gainesway Park, and all the neighbors around here too. It was my pleasure to donate all my capital funds and seek both public and private donations to make a new modern playground a reality. And now with the renaming and reprogramming of the Tates Creek Community Center and a new playground, it is my hope that Gainesway Park continues to serve our neighbors and students for many generations to come. Thank you.
For those of you that don't know me, my name is Kevin Young. I led a group of 20 inspiring individuals who came together just 12 short months ago with the idea of creating the Adopt a Park program for our city's already strong Parks and Rec infrastructure. Every Leadership Lexington class is charged with completing a community-based project. One consistent goal of every class project is create a lasting legacy, to form something that goes beyond a one-year commitment to make a real and lasting difference in our city. We believe we have created that with the Adopt a Park program. Whether it's physical or mental health or a space to enrich your family, I think everyone in attendance today can speak to the value parks play on the fabric of our community. The city's master plan is focused on ensuring that all residents live within a 10-minute walk of a park. Most of us here today drove to Gainesway Park, and we have access to many of the great parks in this city. But the reality is there's youth and there's children in this city that have access to one park, and that's one park they can walk to. That realization was at the heart of this program. Our mission in creating this program is to enhance the excellent work already being done by our Parks and Recreation system through greater community involvement. For those who may only have access to one park, what can we do to ensure it's a place for everyone to play and grow? The Adopt a Park program creates opportunities for businesses, organizations, and community members to take an active role in the park system through stewardship and commitment. We know that the people of Lexington have incredibly big hearts and a desire to give back. The Adopt a Park structure offers tangible ways to get involved that best align with an individual or organization's strengths. The program ranges from everything from trash pickup to yoga in the park, to adding a butterfly or vegetable garden, to park enhancements such as a visual cue board that's going to be installed in the coming days here at Gainesway Park, which was funded by Leadership Lexington and the Lexington Fayette County Health Department.
3, 2, 1, cut the ribbon!
The summer interns in the Division of Water Quality have a public service announcement they'd like to share with you. It's all part of their internship project.
Hi, I'm Kane Ran, and the top story of today is erosion and sediment control for streams, wetlands, and lakes. Here's Wes Hickelman with a look at a recent tragedy in our communities involving a death in a local waterway.
Thank you, Kane Ran. I have an exclusive interview today with one of the individuals impacted by this tragedy. Fresh out of the water, here is Mr. Gills to tell us about what is happening in our local streams.
Thank you, Miss Hickelman. It is with a heavy heart that I share with you that I have lost one of my cousins this morning. This is the fourth cousin and multiple friends that I have lost this week, including Shelby the snail and Sam the salamander.
If we could just have a moment of silence, I guess. Thank you for being so brave to tell your story, Mr. Gills. Do you know anything about what is happening in our streams to cause all these losses?
I'll tell you what the problem is. It's all this erosion and sediment in our streams, lakes, and wetlands.
How does the sediment harm fish friends like you, Mr. Gills?
There are many issues with having a bunch of sediment in our water. It can fill in the habitat spaces between the rocks where we live and suffocate us or our babies. It can prevent us from seeing our food, which can starve us. It can dislodge plants, invertebrates, or insects from the stream bed, which can disrupt our food sources. Not to mention that it can increase the cost of treating drinking water and can result in odor or taste problems for you humans.
Oh goodness, how is the sediment getting in our waterways?
There are many ways that the stream banks can erode, specifically on construction sites. Some things that can contribute to erosion are removed vegetation, steep bank slopes, unprotected outside bins, and increased levels of runoff in the drainage area.
Is there anything that can be done about this?
Well, when working on a site, avoid removing vegetation to the best of their ability. Replant along steep stream banks and use things like logs, large rocks, or embedded root wads to protect outside curves and incorporate infiltration into any spot you can. And try to direct runoff into grassy swales and vegetated or landscaped areas.
Thank you so much, Mr. Gills. We now have a better understanding of this problem. I am being told we have a second interview lined up with construction man Boone Tink. Here's East Hickelman on the scene. I'm East Hickelman, and I'm here on the scene with construction man Boone Tink, and he is here to tell us more about some ways that we can prevent construction sites from killing more of Mr. Gills' friends and family.
One thing that can be done is to make sure that any temporary stream crossings on the site are done properly. In order to do this, we need to make sure that we keep equipment away from and out of streams and make sure that nothing constructed impedes on the natural flow. It is also important to make sure that any temporary stream crossings are put in areas where the least stream damage will occur. Look for areas with hard stream bottoms, low or gently sloping banks, and heavy stable vegetation on both sides.
Wow, that is a lot to keep in mind. Could you tell us more about keeping heavy stable vegetation on both sides?
We want to make sure that we can either keep existing vegetated buffers or add new ones to prevent erosion. This can be done by being careful with any vegetation near stream banks, planting native species where vegetation has been removed, and not mowing near the banks to promote stable channels during high flows. These vegetative buffers are the last chance to capture sediment before it enters the waterway, so it is super important.
Is there anything else you would like to tell us about preventing erosion and sediment on a job site?
A few general reminders that can help keep erosion and sediment where it is supposed to be are to make sure to stabilize all disturbed areas within 50 feet of the top of stream banks within 24 hours of their disturbance. Not having any clearings or other activities within 50 feet of perennial or intermittent waterways. Flag off vegetative buffer areas to keep equipment away and clean up after yourself.
Well, thank you, Mr. Gills and Construction Man Boone Tink. We appreciate all of your guidance on how to prevent these tragedies. It is now time for Mr. Gills to go home.
Thank you, West and East Hickleman. You can pay your respects to Mr. Gill's cousins by visiting mrgillscousins.com, and you can learn more about erosion and sediment control by visiting mrboontink.construction.com. Thanks for tuning in.
Commemorating our veterans after this.
Hello everyone, I'm Tiffany Brown, Equity and Implementation Officer in the Mayor's Office and Chair of the A Sense of Place Committee. I'm here today to talk about A Sense of Place, an initiative dedicated to preserving the history of Lexington's rural Black hamlets and celebrating those that remain active today. More than 20 historic Black hamlets have been identified in Fayette County. Most are located in rural areas. Our historic hamlets have been and are home to generations of lived experiences, traditions, and culture. Houses, churches, schools, grocery stores, agricultural enterprises, and lodge halls for community gatherings were found in many hamlets. A Sense of Place is a partnership between community members with direct connection to our hamlets and the city of Lexington. Its goal is to raise awareness about what the hamlets represent and to identify steps that are needed to take to preserve their history. The A Sense of Place committee includes local historian Yvonne Giles, local historian Calvin Graves, Executive Director of the Lexington History Museum Mandy Higgins, Cadentown resident Dr. Alvin Seals, Cadentown Baptist Church pastor Reverend Leon Slatter, and others. With support from members of the Cadentown community, A Sense of Place is currently raising funds for maintenance updates and programming of the Cadentown Rosenwald School and property located at 705 Caden Lane. In the early 2000s, members of the Cadentown community worked with the city to preserve the school. In the early 20th century, Rosenwald schools were found across the South, serving rural Black children and families during segregation. Many of the buildings have been destroyed. Lexington is proud that the Cadentown School still stands and wants to preserve the history and significance that so many of these schools have had in our hamlet communities. The funds will complete the restoration of the school and upgrade the historic cemetery and church building. The school will permanently house artifacts that tell the story of Lexington's hamlet. We hope you will join us.
Welcome back to Lexington Now. A ceremony was held in Lexington commemorating service members in the Kentucky Veterans Hall of Fame. Here are some highlights.
The Kentucky Veterans Hall of Fame is an important organization. HB, I want to thank you. You and your army of volunteers work so hard to make sure our veterans are recognized, not only for their military careers, but also for the community service that they have done after their military service. We are starting a new Veterans Day banner program where we will recognize our community's veterans with banners flying in our downtown. This year's banners are committed to the Fayette County inductees into the Kentucky Veterans Hall of Fame.
Thank you to the Lexington Fire Department for so magnificently displaying the United States flag at the hotel entrance to welcome and honor our inductees. Much gratitude to Fast Tracks for dramatically bringing the American flag and the Armed Forces Bedley flag to the manicured lawn of the Embassy Suites here in Lexington today. The jump today is dedicated to Army Specialist Christopher S. Wright, who died August 19, 2010, served during Operation Freedom in Peck, Afghanistan. We've gathered here today to announce the inductees into the Kentucky Veterans Hall of Fame class of 2024. Sergeant Thompson Leroy Tom Armstrong served in the United States Army. Thompson Leroy Tom Armstrong is deceased. Representing Sergeant Armstrong today is his wife, Ann Armstrong. Specialist 5, Fred Lee Banta, served in the United States Army. Fred Lee Banta is deceased. Representing Specialist 5 Banta today is his wife, Sandy Banta. First Sergeant Ray P. Biggerstaff Sr. served in the United States Army. Ray P. Biggerstaff Sr. is deceased. Representing First Sergeant Biggerstaff Sr. today is his son, Ray Biggerstaff Jr. Engine Mate 3rd Class Carl Edward Ed Beal served in the United States Navy. Specialist 5 Robert Lee Bryant served in the United States Army. Specialist 5 William Larkin Buckman served in the United States Army. Sergeant 1st Class James Dion Deneen served in the United States Army. Technical Sergeant Orestes Flowers served in the United States Army. Orestes Flowers is deceased. Master Sergeant William Martin Gatherwright, United States Air Force. Sergeant Terry Wayne Hatton served in the United States Army. Airman 2nd Class Harold James Jack Hendricks served in the United States Air Force. Major Gary Michael Holbrook served in the United States Army. Sergeant Carl Joseph Kalin served in the United States Army. Corporal John Helm Cloker served in the United States Army. John Helm Cloker is deceased. Representing Corporal Cloker today is Don Kiley. Staff Sergeant Martha Jane Lane served in the United States Army. Private Randy Gilbert Marsh served in the United States Army Reserves. Sergeant Charles L. Metcalf served in the United States Army. Charles L. Metcalf is deceased. Representing Sergeant Metcalf today is Pat Farmer, his daughter. Chief Warrant Officer 3 Harris Burton Millard Jr. served in the United States Air Force and the United States Army, the majority in the Army. First Sergeant Ronald Ron E. Molgard served in the United States Army. Specialist 4 Tommy S. Mullins served in the United States Army. Private 1st Class Dennis L. Newberry II served in the United States Army. He's 96 years old. 96 years old, unable to be here today. Sergeant Matt V. Ralph served in the United States Marine Corps. He was unable to be with us today. Sergeant 1st Class Raymond Case Rice served in the United States Army. Hospital Corpsman 3rd Class Robert Barry Rogow served in the United States Navy. Staff Sergeant Bobby L. Thornberry served in the United States Air Force. Bobby Thornberry is deceased. Representing Staff Sergeant Thornberry today is his wife Shirley. Specialist 4, John Jack Richard Wagner, served in the United States Army. Jack could not be here today, so he is represented by his sister, Kathy Williams. There is your class of 2024 for the Kentucky Veterans Hall of Fame, and we will hear their stories on September the 6th and 7th. And I must tell you, there's some very interesting stories sitting in front of you today, and I hope you'll make every effort to be here in September. Let's thank all of them collectively.
Connell Springs is a natural area downtown traditionally accepted as the birthplace of Lexington. The Springs recently welcomed a new director. Here's more.
My name is Jennifer Minier and I am the McConnell Springs Park Manager. We are here at a 26-acre natural area park in Lexington, Kentucky. As the park manager, I help to oversee the land management. We have a great team of people that make the park, be prepared for the public use and such, but then also just making sure that we've got the programming that we have offered to the public, as well as to different community groups, school groups, and that sort of thing. So just making sure that our stewardship goals are being met and that our education responsibilities are also being met for the community. McConnell Springs is located in an industrial area of Lexington. So on the west side of Lexington, we're off of Redmond Lane, which is close to New Circle Road and Old Frankfort Pike. The Education Center is open from 9 to 5 Monday through Saturday and 1 to 5 on Sundays, but people can come and enjoy the park during daylight hours. The trails are open. We have an ADA compliant paved trail that's about a half-mile in length, so people can go through and see the water system, the karst landscape within the park. And then we have about another 1.5 miles or so of dirt compact trails that are available so people can see some other park features like the bur oak. As a park, we offer a few big events, like we hosted a pollinator festival before, birding festivals. We have Founders Day, which talks about the history of Lexington. But then also on a regular basis, we have different environmental education and sustainability programming that we offer. The beautiful thing about being a natural area park within the city is we have an opportunity for people to see deer, like our white-tailed deer. We sometimes have fox in the area. We've had different owls, certainly a lot of different birds. We have a bird garden here that tries to attract more birds so people can have an opportunity to observe them more. Squirrels, chipmunks, but we have a lot of aquatic wildlife with our pond too. So different turtles, waterfowl, and that sort of thing. There's a lot of variety here, which is really special. So if folks want to learn more about McConnell Springs, they can go to lexingtonky.gov/parks and search for McConnell Springs, and that's going to give opportunities to look at the different programs that we offer, whether it's scheduled or something that people can request for their community group or school. For schools and community groups, they can come out and do volunteer efforts by coordinating with us. We also have monthly volunteer efforts to get the community involved. But if people are interested as far as groups go, schools or otherwise, they can contact us and we can provide environmental education programming, talk about sustainability, history. We have a lot of things to offer here at McConnell Springs. So our program offerings will hit a variety of ages. We have things for, like one of our popular programs is called Tiny Tots, so that's for 2 to 5-year-olds, and then we have things that are just for adults, but all ages are always welcome. So we really try to provide something for all ages and all abilities within the park when it comes to our programming. So McConnell Springs is a very special place within Lexington, not only for our residents, but visitors alike. It's a great opportunity to get an idea of what makes Lexington special with the history, the pride that comes from being in this area, the stewardship of the land that has happened for generations, and then also an opportunity to see what Lexington has to offer, as well as Kentucky as a whole, just the flora and fauna, especially if you only get to be here to explore, which is wonderful, but it gives a representation of what Kentucky has to offer as a wonderful community and state. It is our pleasure to host any number of visitors, whether you're passing through or you happen to be a resident. We would love to have visitors at any time, so please come out and see us or give us a call if you have any questions. We're happy to be a resource.
There's some live meeting action this week on Lex TV and streaming online. And remember, you can also find the most accurate and up-to-date information on all non-televised city business at lexingtonky.gov. Here's this week's meeting coverage. That's all for now, but as always, you can keep up with us on social media. Check out the latest traffic updates on X at LexRex, or catch our live traffic cams on lexingtonky.gov. For all of us at Lex TV, I'm Neil Noah, and that's it for now.